This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So today in the studio, we have a very, very, very special guest with us, and I'll tell you why. She is special because in 2023, 48% of agents did not sell a single home. That's basically 1 in 2 agents nationally did not sell a house. And 98% of agents sell fewer than 18 homes a year. So that averages out to about 1.5 homes a month. Well, Tina Caul's team is going to close 1,000 houses this year. That averages 3 houses a day. So thank you so much for being in the studio with us today, Tina.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, how did you go from, because you weren't born into real estate royalty, right?
No.
No?
Far from.
So when you started in real estate, how long did it take for you to, break the 50 homes a year mark?
It took a long time. So I always say the first 7 years of my career, I was an average agent doing average business. So I did anywhere from 15 to 25 sales. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a process. I just kind of worked my referral business. And I was 23. So not a lot of my friends were buying houses.
That is hard.
And so it just kind of grew very small, very organically. But I had one shift in my business, and that's where I met my mentor back in 2008. Mike Ferry, who a lot of people know. He's been around since 1975. So once I met him and found a process, my day shifted, my whole world shifted, and I just catapulted. I went from 30 deals to 50 to 80 to 130 deals consistently.
Wow.
So because I knew what I should be doing as a real estate agent every day.
Got it. And so when agents are listening to this, whether they're, because you said Mike Ferry's been around since 1975. I think Tom Hopkins trained Mike Ferry.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's Mike Ferry, and then there's Tom Ferry and Bill Pipes, and there's the whole
and they all stem
gambit.
from Mike.
Yep, they all stem from Mike.
Yeah.
And so the point, what is it? Principles are enduring, right? Practices sometimes flow with the times, but principles are enduring. Would you say the stuff that you were learning from Mike, in 2008 is still relevant today?
Absolutely, 100%. You'll find a lot of marketers right now, especially social media gurus. They'll throw stones at something that they can't do. So they'll say, oh, prospecting's dead, cold calling is dead. Mm-hmm. And then they'll say, but buy my course, it's social media. Ta-da! And you're like, okay, well, that's great, but that's not a duplicatable system. And by the way, I don't look like you, I don't sound like you, I'm not going to have the right, tonality like you, so I'm going to get a different result. So you can't package it like you can package a script and say, hey, I don't care what your personality is. You could be a high C, a high D, a high I, whatever. Yeah. And you could read this script, get better at it, and actually have duplicatable results. And that's universal. Yep. So to me, that's still the foundational aspect of the business. You have to talk to a lot of people, and you have to get rejected at a high level to create a huge business.
And that's what I tell agents all the time, because they're like, hey, how do I grow my social media? How do I do this? And I'm like, do you want the fame or do you want the fortune?
Yep.
Because you can have 1,000 followers or have 1,000 views on something, but if you look up those agents' production, it oftentimes doesn't support the image that they're putting on social media.
Agreed.
So we run a little team, much smaller than yours, but I was recently interviewing an agent, and she was saying, hey, I've been in the industry almost 20 years, and to be on our team, you have to hit, there's three lead pillars. The third pillar is an ISA department, we call them appointment setters. And in order to qualify for the appointment setters, you have to make a certain number of dials a week, right? So there's a bar. I would think it's a very achievable bar, but there's still a bar. And she was like, well, I don't, I've been doing this for 20 years. I think I'm beyond making the calls. And I said, really? The number one EXP earner in our entire company, he was just sitting next to me and he was making calls. Tom Daves, local legend here in the Sacramento market. He sold over 7,000 homes, and he's making calls right now. So, I guess the point I'm trying to ask is, that's been my experience, that you can't outgrow the prospecting. What's your experience? Do you think you can outgrow the prospecting, or has anybody come so far where they don't need to necessarily prospect?
So I think you can outgrow the prospecting if you replace the prospector. So like
Yep.
I used to do the prospecting where it was 2-3 hours a day, and I was constantly, in the office every day, Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturday mornings. I love Saturday mornings, and I loved Sunday afternoons. And so, but if I were to remove myself from that post, the inside sales associate post,
Yeah.
then I'm going outside sales. But who is replacing me? So I would bring in an ISA and then let them do somebody's got to do lead generation.
Correct.
Or you'll have a stagnant business. So that's why the most seasoned, polished, rich agents know that they wake up every day and they do the number one activity that brings people in the door, which is the blah, blah, blahs.
The blah, blah,
All day
blahs,
longs.
talking on the phone.
That's right.
So to recap, you were in real estate for 7 years, just kind of figuring it out. You came across Mike Ferry,
Yep.
and he said, make calls, and here's how you do it.
Yep.
And then so oftentimes agents get frustrated because they think it's going to take a little bit, it'll happen faster than they expect. And you said year one you went to 30 deals in a year?
Well, I had already been an agent for 7. So remember,
Correct.
I had sort of the foundation. I knew how to do deals. So I got to go a little bit faster because all I was doing was, oh gosh, I got to wake up at a certain time, get to the office at 7:30. I role played. So just like any, professional sports team, they're going to practice a lot.
Yep.
And that's the shift for me was, oh, I'm a professional. I get to practice my scripts, my tonality, my upswings, my downswings, listen to the tape, just like a football team would watch the tape back. I'm listening to it back. I used to have a lot of ums in my presentation, which made me sound not confident. And I could fix that by listening to the feedback. And then my coach would listen to it and we would literally dissect it. And so we just became really obsessed about becoming excellent. And to me, I think that's what a professional does. They want to get to the top of their game. What could I achieve beyond the best of the best? And
Yeah.
so I think that's just something that a lot of us strive for is how do we become better every day?
Yeah. So you had a good base, and then
Good
your
base.
first year with Mike, how much did your production increase by?
So I remember when I signed up for Mike, I had lost pretty much all my income. I was down because of the market. So I was making $150,000. This was 24 years ago, down to 40. That first year back, I got back to $130,000 in income. So I got back what I
Yeah.
lost. And then we moved from Michigan. So this is how confident we were in the new plan that we found. We said, hey, we've grown up here for 30 years, but let's just move because we can do this anywhere. There are houses everywhere. The scripts are the same. So we packed our family up. We moved to Raleigh, North Carolina, didn't know a soul, couldn't get out of my driveway without GPS to go to the gas station. And we started dialing. And our first expired, was a short sale. And I knew how to do short sales at the time. This was 2009. And I listed it, and then it was an expired frenzy because the market was falling apart.
Yeah.
So agents were leaving the business. I got literally showed up to Remax. I picked the corner office with the biggest windows, and I'm like, I'm here. And it gave us we got not a promotion, but a raise because our average price in Michigan was, I think, $110,000 by the time we left. It was $300,000 by the time we moved to Raleigh. So it was like
Wow.
we made more money. And then we sold 35 homes. We sold one home in 6 months because we were just trying to get acclimated. And then we sold 33 homes in the second 6-month period.
Wow.
And then it was 55, then 80 something, and then 100, over 100 that fourth year.
Okay.
And that's where things started to fall apart.
What do you mean fall apart?
Meaning there's only one of me.
Oh.
I need leverage. I had more customers than I did human service hours. So it was like, okay, I need some help. And I had enough business. I think a lot of team leaders just start a business where I was like, I didn't think I would ever lead a team or start a team, but I just needed help. And so I had an agent that reached out to me and she's like, I want to be on your team. And I was like, oh, this is a weird concept. Okay, here's all my buyers. So it was fun. She knocked out all the buyers. I did all the sellers. I got to grow my seller side business, which started to really give me back my time. And then she got overwhelmed and we hired another buyer agent. And that's where sort of the call group started.
Got it. And so when you were growing, before you even brought that first agent on, was your husband involved in the business?
He was. So he moved with, obviously with me from Michigan. He was he used to be a special finance department guy at car dealerships and travel the nation, set up special finance departments. And we hated the job. It was long hours, like we never saw him. So he got his license and he became one of the ISAs. He basically made calls for me. So when I was out on appointments, he would stay back and make calls, as long as it took, because we literally had $100,000 net worth when we left Michigan. We sold everything at 29, 30 years old, and we left with $100,000. And I remember we got down to like $5,000 in our bank account. And my husband knocked on the door. He's like, we need to take more listings or we're moving back to Michigan. And I'm like, hell no, I won't go.
Don't want to deal with the weather? Or?
I hated the weather.
Okay.
And I just didn't want to fail. And so we just kind of, again, ramped it up. I started to close more on appointments. I was really terrible at asking for the signature because I'm much more like amiable. I want them to like me. I don't want to push people. I don't want to feel pushy.
If they ask, hey, can I sign? Then you're fine with it.
Exactly. Or sometimes I would send all the package of information out and they would already have it filled out. And I'm like, oh, they're mine. So sometimes like 1 out of 10 might do that. But I had to learn how to push for the signature, to ask for the business, just like they would expect me to ask for the business if I'm showing their house and the buyer's giving me all these buyer signals. If they were in the closet watching me, like, close, they're saying this is the time you ask them to write up the deal.
Yeah.
That I had to get to that. Like, they want a closer. They want to be led.
Yep.
And I had to build the confidence for that. Because remember, I was still new to the process of having a presentation, asking a lot of questions, and closing. Mm-hmm. I let the customer lead the first 7 years. I let the business happen to me, where I was taking more control of the business. And to list homes in high volume, you have to be able to close. So we worked on that to where I would have multiple closes ready, because I knew that if I walked out the door, 70% chance I'm not getting the listing.
Correct. That's the same thing that we've experienced here, is where we'll go in the living room, and if you don't push, and I say push, we're not a pushy company.
Sure.
But it's like they're nervous, they're scared. You got to understand what's holding them back. And so you kind of got to break through those barriers and have an honest conversation. And so if we're not closing at least 3 times, like asking for hey, what's the deal? Are you confident with me? Are you confident with my marketing? Like,
right.
If you're not doing that, then when you leave, all of a sudden they have a friend, family member.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I always liken it to like when you go see a movie and you're just, in the movie, you're experiencing it, it's all emotional. You walk out and you're like high-fiving it. Oh, that was awesome. I love that movie. So you're still, the excitement's there. You're talking about the movie in the car. By the time you get home, there's no more conversation about the movie. The excitement has gone away.
Yep.
And that's the same thing with an agent. They're excited. They like you. You're like, yeah, they like me. They really like me. I know they're going to want to work with me. And then, oh, well, we need to think about it. And, oh, well, we'll call you. Well, by that time, like you said, they've talked to the neighbor. Oh, this guy can list it for less. And the excitement's over.
Yep.
Well, your chances just drop dramatically to get that business. So we got to get them while they're emotionally and logically in tune with your data.
And 70% is not an insignificant number. So you might as well take the shot while you're there, because they're probably not calling you. They're going to ghost you after that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So you may as well just, try and say, hey, as a professional, we agreed on price. You believe that I can sell your home, correct? Yeah, you like everything I present you. Well, I would love to work with you. Like, I would love to sign you up today, and let's just get started. Yeah. Sometimes it's just asking that question. Like, I'm ready. Are you?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, fine. They want to be led.
Are you ready to let me help you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So for agents who are either new in the business or struggling, because I don't know what it's like in Raleigh, but transactions are down significantly in our market. Is it down in Raleigh as well?
Transactions are down. Luckily, our team is still up because we've realized that we have to double and triple the amount of activity we were doing. So I'm very much like reading the tea leaves. Hey, guys, we had the wind at our back the last 3 years. You think you're good? You're not that good. Like, we all think we were good. We were not that good. So now we got to skill up, level up. So we poured a lot of education into our agents, and we're just hammering them, tracking their numbers. Like, we're getting back to the basics, weekly coaching calls, one-on-ones. So things that they probably don't enjoy, but I know from being there, I needed it. And so whatever I think made me successful, I just kind of push onto them. Like, trust me. And some of them won't like it and they leave. I don't like this. Okay, well, then go do your own thing. Like, I can't help you. But I want them to succeed. And somebody's got to be there to push them, because most people are not as motivated as they think, self-motivated.
Yep.
So they need that extra push and accountability to be successful.
That's what we say. Accountability is love.
It is. It is.
And so when we come back from the break, we're going to talk more about how you make agents successful.
Great.
So, Mike, when you go to a restaurant and the food is phenomenal, the staff and everybody there is really friendly, you want to go back there over and over again,
Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure.
That's what happens when you get good service. It happened to Betty when she worked with our friend Johnny Jennings to sell her house during a tough situation in her life. Johnny Jennings did such a great job that when it came to sell her mother's home in Roseville, she couldn't think of anybody better than, of course, Johnny Jennings with the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty. They found the perfect buyer for her mom's home and negotiated a quick sale as is.
Yeah, and that as is part is the key, because if you want to sell your home, but you don't want to invest all the time and money to get it fixed up and perfect and ready, good news, Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty can get you at least 3 cash offers. I mean, 1 would be cool, but 3 cash offers, and experience the same level of service that Betty did, because they've got an entire team looking to make your home selling experience as easy and as efficient as it can be. Expect more, get more with Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty. Just Google Made for More Realty today and get more for your home. License number 581837.